Jerry Lewis was a singer, actor, director and comedic genius who had a knack for making people laugh. He gained fame for his use of physical comedy, exaggerated facial expressions, and slapstick humor. Notable sketches that brought him recognition were Nutty Professor, Lunchtime, and A Silly Songs. His distinctive speech style, characterized by stutters and malapropisms, further contributed to his popularity. Additionally, he was renowned for his collaborations with Dean Martin. However, his private life was marred by dark secrets that only came to light after his passing. In a recent article by Vanity Fair in February 2022, it was revealed that some of Lewis's former co-stars from the 1960s had bravely spoken out about allegations of sexual assault, harassment, and verbal abuse. These allegations have shocked many fans and tarnished the legacy of a beloved entertainer. The article detailed accounts from several individuals who worked closely with Lewis during his prime years in the entertainment industry. They described instances of Lewis using his power and influence to exploit and mistreat those around him. One former co-star, who wished to remain anonymous, recounted a disturbing incident where Lewis allegedly assaulted her during a film shoot. She claimed that Lewis took advantage of his position as the director and subjected her to unwanted advances and physical contact. Another actress spoke out about enduring verbal abuse from Lewis, recounting instances where he would belittle and demean her on set. Lewis, known for his slapstick humor and charitable work, had built a reputation as a beloved figure in the entertainment world. However, these allegations have forced many to question the true nature of the man behind the laughter. The article also shed light on the culture of silence and fear that permeated the industry during that era, making it difficult for victims to come forward and seek justice. Many of Lewis's former co-stars admitted to feeling powerless and afraid to speak out at the time, fearing the potential repercussions on their careers. Nonetheless, it is possible to imagine that the esteemed individual whom we thought we knew could be the one accountable for these allegations, and we will discuss more about this matter in today's video. Well then, join us today as we uncover the truth behind Jerry Lewis's life from the onset of his career to his final days. But before we begin, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and feel free to let us know in the comment section below who you would be interested in hearing from in our next video. Lewis, born on March 16, 1926, in Newark, New Jersey, to a Jewish family, had conflicting reports about his birth name. His parents were Daniel "Danny" Alevich, a master of ceremonies and vaudevillian performer, and Rachel "Beret" Alevich, a radio pianist. Lewis had a reputation for pulling pranks in his teenage years, and he was expelled from Wequahic High School and dropped out of Irvington High School. He changed his name to avoid confusion with other performers. At the age of 15, Lewis developed his record act and performed at burlesque houses. Although his first performance failed, he continued to work odd jobs such as soda jerk and theater usher. Eventually, he gained success after being persuaded by Max Coleman to try again. During World War II, Lewis was unable to serve due to a heart murmur. In 1945, a 19-year-old Lewis met 27-year-old singer Dean Martin at the Glass Hat Club in NYC. They performed together until their debut as Martin and Lewis in Atlantic City in 1946. Their act gained attention with Lewis's zany antics and ad-libbed segments. They became popular nationally, performing in nightclubs and on radio shows. In 1948, they made their TV debut on The Ed Sullivan Show. They signed with NBC in 1950 to host the Colgate Comedy Hour. Norman Lear and Ed Simmons were hired as writers for the show. By 1951, they were a hit and began their film careers at Paramount Pictures. They appeared in 14 movies together. DC Comics even published a comic book featuring their adventures. They made appearances on various TV shows in the 1950s. In 1956, they did their final nightclub act together. Both Lewis and Martin went on to have successful solo careers, but there was no reunion. They did have occasional public and private reunions over the years. After parting ways with Martin in 1956, Jerry Lewis and his wife Patty went on a vacation to Las Vegas to assess his career's direction. Feeling lost and anxious, Lewis received a request from his friend Sid Luft, Judy Garland's husband and manager, asking him to fill in for her due to strep throat. Despite not having performed alone since childhood, Lewis decided to take the opportunity. He entertained the audience with jokes and clowning while Garland watched from offstage. Lewis also sang childhood songs, including a Rockabye Your Baby with a Dixie melody and a Come Rain or Come Shine, receiving an overwhelming response from the crowd. Encouraged by his wife, Lewis used his own funds to record these songs as a single. Decca Records liked the recording and insisted on making an album, which became a major success, reaching number 3 on the Billboard charts and selling over 1.5 million copies in 4 months. Jerry Lewis had a successful career in recording, starting with his album More Jerry Lewis and EP'd Somebody Loves Me. He also recorded albums for children, such as Jerry Lewis Sings Big Songs for Little People. Although his singles did not perform well on the charts, he had previous success with his partner Dean Martin, reaching number 22 with That Certain Party in 1948. Lewis also recorded novelty comedy numbers and music for children during this time. In 1956, he began performing at the Sands Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, which marked a turning point in his career. Critics praised his solo performances, and Lewis found peace of mind for the first time. He appeared on various TV shows, including A What's My Line and The Ed Sullivan Show, and hosted the Academy Awards multiple times. Lewis remained at Paramount and starred in films such as The Delicate Delinquent and The Sad Sack. He collaborated with director Frank Tashlin on several films, but turned down a role in Some Like It Hot. Lewis's contract with Paramount made him the highest-paid individual talent in Hollywood, giving him creative control and ownership of his films. Lewis's success and influence were so significant that the head of production at Paramount expressed unwavering support for him. Jerry Lewis, a renowned actor and director, had a successful career in the film and television industry. In the early 1960s, Lewis completed his film contract with Wallace and directed and starred in films such as Visit to a Small Planet and Cinderfella. He then directed The Bellboy for Paramount Pictures, using his own funds to cover the movie's budget. Lewis continued to direct films like The Ladies' Man and The Errand Boy, which were co-written with Bill Richmond. These films showcased state-of-the-art sets and locations at Paramount. Additionally, Lewis made appearances on popular shows like The Gary Moore Show and It's Only Money. He even achieved high ratings as a guest host on The Tonight Show. Jerry Lewis's success led to networks vying for him to have his own talk show. He capitalized on his talents by directing, co-writing, and starring in The Nutty Professor, a parody of Dr. Jekyll and Hyde that is considered one of his best films. Throughout the 1960s, Lewis appeared in various other movies and TV shows such as It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, Who's Minding the Store, and The Jerry Lewis Show on ABC. He also signed with Columbia Pictures to pursue more serious acting roles. Lewis's prolific career included appearances on shows like Laugh-In, The Danny Thomas Hour, and The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour. He also had his own variety show called The Jerry Lewis Show, which aired from 1967 to 1969. In the later years, Lewis took a break from the movie business after the unreleased film The Day the Clown Cried in 1972. However, he continued to make television appearances on shows like Good Morning America and The Dick Cavett Show. Lewis also surprised his former partner Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra during their Las Vegas show. Jerry Lewis's contributions to the entertainment industry are undeniable, with his films and television appearances leaving a lasting impact on audiences. Lewis made a comeback to the silver screen in 1981 after an 11-year hiatus with the film Hardly Working, which earned $50 million despite negative reviews. In 1982, he received critical acclaim for his role as a late-night TV host plagued by obsessive fans in The King of Comedy, earning a BAFTA nomination. Lewis appeared on various shows such as Saturday Night Live and Star Search, and starred in films like Cracking Up and Slapstick of Another Kind, as well as 2 French movies. He hosted a syndicated talk show called The Jerry Lewis Show, directed an episode of Brothers, and received a standing ovation at the first comic relief. In 1987, Lewis attended the funeral of Dean Paul Martin, leading to a reconciliation with Martin. He continued his career with hosting gigs, interviews, and film appearances, including Mr. Saturday Night. Lewis also made his Broadway debut in Damn Yankees. In later years, he appeared on various shows like The Simpsons, Late Night with Conan O'Brien, and The Tonight Show. Lewis's final film was Max Rose, and he also appeared in Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. Lewis married Patty Palmer, a singer, on October 3, 1944. They had a total of 6 sons together. 5 of them were biological. Gary, born 1945, Scott, born 1956, Christopher, born 1957, Anthony, born 1959, and Joseph, born 1964. They also adopted one son named Ronald, born 1949. Their marriage was an interfaith union, as Lewis was Jewish and Palmer was Catholic. During his marriage to Palmer, Lewis is believed to have fathered a daughter named Susan with Lynn Dixon Kleinman in 1952. DNA testing revealed that there was an 88.7% probability of Susan being related to Lewis's acknowledged son, Gary. Lewis openly engaged in relationships with other women and spoke unapologetically about his infidelity in interviews. He even disclosed his affairs with Marilyn Monroe and Marlene Dietrich to People magazine in 2011. Palmer filed for divorce from Lewis in 1980 after 35 years of marriage. She cited Lewis's extravagant spending and infidelity as reasons for the divorce. The divorce was finalized in 1983. As a result, all of Lewis's children and grandchildren from his marriage to Palmer were excluded from inheriting any part of his estate. Gary, Lewis's eldest son, publicly criticized his father, describing him as a mean and evil person, and claiming that Lewis never showed love or care towards him or his siblings. Lewis's second wife was Sandra Sandy Epidnick, a professionally trained ballerina and stewardess from the University of North Carolina School of the Arts. They met when Pidnick won a small role in a dancing scene in Lewis's film, Hardly Working. They got married on February 13, 1983, in Key Biscayne, Florida. They adopted a daughter named Danielle in 1992. Lewis and Pidnick remained married for 34 years until Lewis's death. Vanity Fair reported in February 2022 that Lewis's 1960s co-stars, including Karen Sharp, Hope Holiday, Anna Maria Alberghetti, and Lainey Kazan, had accused him of sexual assault, harassment, and verbal abuse. These allegations painted a troubling picture of Lewis's behavior during his time in the industry, with multiple individuals coming forward to share their experiences of being subjected to inappropriate and abusive behavior. The accusations ranged from unwanted advances and inappropriate comments to instances of physical assault and intimidation. The revelations sparked a wave of outrage and condemnation within the entertainment industry, leading to calls for accountability and justice for the victims of Lewis's alleged misconduct. As the story continued to unfold, it became clear that the impact of Lewis's actions had been far-reaching and deeply damaging to those who had been affected. The scandal served as a stark reminder of the prevalence of abuse and harassment in the entertainment industry, and the urgent need for greater accountability and measures to prevent such behavior in the future. Jerry Lewis, a renowned comedian and entertainer, faced numerous health challenges throughout his life. These included chronic ailments, addictions, and illnesses that were a result of aging and a back injury sustained during a comedic fall. The fall in question occurred either from a piano performance at the Sands Hotel and Casino or during an appearance on The Andy Williams Show. Lewis faced a variety of chronic health issues, diseases, and dependencies stemming from both the aging process and a back injury sustained in a comedic fall. The fall was reported to have occurred either while he was performing at the Sands Hotel and Casino on the Las Vegas Strip on March 20, 1965, or during an appearance on The Andy Williams Show. Following this incident, Lewis developed an addiction to the painkiller Percodan for 13 years, but claimed to have been drug-free since 1978. In April 2002, he had a Medtronic Synergy, a neurostimulator implanted in his back, which helped alleviate his discomfort and made him a prominent advocate for the company. Lewis experienced multiple heart problems throughout his lifetime. He disclosed in the 2011 documentary Method to the Madness of Jerry Lewis that he had his first heart attack at 34 years old while filming Cinderfella in 1960. At the age of 56 in December 1982, he suffered his second heart attack, followed by open-heart double bypass surgery in February 1983. During a flight from New York City to San Diego on June 11, 2006, Lewis had his third heart attack at the age of 80. Subsequent examinations revealed pneumonia and severe heart damage, leading to a cardiac catheterization and the insertion of 2 stents into a blocked coronary artery. Despite having to cancel several engagements, Lewis recovered fully within weeks, with improved blood flow to his heart aiding in his recuperation from previous lung issues. Lewis suffered from a multitude of health issues, including heart problems, prostate cancer, type 1 diabetes, and pulmonary fibrosis. In the late 1990s, he underwent treatment for pulmonary fibrosis with prednisone, resulting in significant weight gain and a noticeable change in his appearance. Unfortunately, in September 2001, Lewis was unable to perform at a charity event in London due to sudden illness, suspected to be related to cardiac problems. He was rushed to the hospital for treatment. After a challenging therapy process to wean off prednisone, Lewis was able to shed the excess weight and resume his work. Despite health setbacks, including collapsing from hypoglycemia in 2012 and hospitalization for a urinary tract infection in 2017, Lewis continued to face his health challenges with resilience. His passing on August 20, 2017, at the age of 91, was attributed to end-stage cardiac disease and peripheral artery disease. Lewis was cremated, and in his will, he left his estate to his second wife and daughter, explicitly disinheriting his children from his first marriage and their descendants. Jerry Lewis was a major force in American popular culture from the late 1940s to the mid-1960s. He was widely acknowledged as a comic genius and influenced generations of comedians, comedy writers, performers, and filmmakers. Lewis was often referred to as the bridge from vaudeville to modern comedy, and his influence on comedy was compared to the first guy in mankind that everyone tries to copy. Lewis's films, especially those he directed himself, have received steady reappraisal. Critics have praised him as one of the most original and inventive directors of his time, as well as one of the most skilled and original comic performers. His direction showcased his adrenaline-fueled physical comedy and demonstrated his skill in framing and presenting it for the camera. Lewis was considered an explosive experimenter with a dazzling skill and an innovative flair for cinematic techniques. Furthermore, Lewis was at the forefront of the transition to independent filmmaking, which later became known as New Hollywood in the late 1960s. He dared to declare his independence from the studio system, which tightly controlled the filmmaking process and preferred established directors. Despite this, Lewis often led and flouted the power structure to have control over his material, exhibiting both entrepreneurial and auteur qualities. His audacity and control over his work paved the way for future comedic directors like Mel Brooks and Woody Allen. In terms of his directorial style, Lewis was uncommonly skilled. He expanded and contracted space using purposeful lens selection, generating laughs not only through the material but also visually and structurally. His films were cinematically innovative and utilized tools in formally unique and humorous ways. He advanced the genre of film comedy by incorporating fragmented narratives, experimental use of music and sound technology, and near-surrealist utilization of color and art direction. Filmmaker Jean-Luc Godard praised Lewis as the only Hollywood figure who wasn't conforming to established categories and principles. Lewis's films were characterized as ambitious, visually and narratively experimental, provocative commentaries on masculinity in post-war America, and introspections into the performer's neuroses. Jerry Lewis was a comedic icon who left a lasting impact on American popular culture. He was a talented comedian, director, and innovator who pushed the boundaries of film comedy and visual storytelling. His influence can be seen in the work of subsequent generations of comedians and filmmakers. Jerry Lewis was a groundbreaking filmmaker known for his use of dark humor in exploring the human psyche. He was one of the first to introduce satire as a full-length film, commenting on celebrity culture and the struggle between staying true to oneself and fitting into society. Lewis was a master of deconstruction, often exposing the behind-the-scenes aspects of comedy and filmmaking. His belief in breaking the fourth wall and actors looking directly into the camera was unique in the industry. Lewis's death was mourned by his collaborators, including Robert De Niro and Sandra Bernhard, who praised his talent and friendship. He was remembered as a pioneer in comedy and film. Lewis's work has been celebrated with retrospectives around the world, highlighting his contributions to cinema. In 2017, Lewis co-founded the Legionnaires of Laughter and Legacy Awards and was honored with a video display on the Las Vegas Strip. Throughout his career, Lewis was a casino showroom headliner in Las Vegas and hosted an annual Labor Day MDA telethon. Lewis's legacy continues to inspire and entertain audiences.